Alright guys, welcome back, episode 15, Baghdad Games with the Medieval Dynasty playthrough, where I kind of got exactly where we left off, but I do know what I want to get done. Oh yeah, I think last episode we did got a lot of money, up to almost 18 grand here after selling off, I think, all those coifs we had. I remember I checked in the last episode when I was rewatching it. I ended up getting like 368 gold per coif. So it's over like 700 and some odd gold between the last two of them. So already, guys, you're now seeing like two very easy money makers in this game, right? And it gives you, one of the big ones right there, those coifs, obviously is a seasonal or a yearly thing, I should say, right? After you harvest all your flax in the summer, you can go to get a big influx of gold, and obviously by next summer I'm gonna have like a whole freaking field, if not more, like just full of flax. Like I want to be able to harvest a lot of it. That way we can, double or triple the amount of money we just brought in off those, right? And then of course, as we already saw, yeah, I gotta give my boy some food. Is you clear out the whole cave, a couple seasons a year, and eventually once we actually have the mine up and running, you're going to see how much easier it is as well to have that a little bit more automated. But that's pretty much it, guys, for the money making scheme in this game. It's the best ones that I have found personally, and they work great for me, because every season, the bronze shears are always going to be there. Obviously the flax is a one time a year thing basically, but once we have a lot more coming in, it will be easier to make even more money. And then later in the game, once we start getting our stalls set up here, I don't think, yeah, we don't have them unlocked yet. We're actually super close though. A little bit more production technology, only like 100 points away, 96 points away, and we'll unlock a market stall. That's going to start actually bringing in some money automatically, to where I don't have to do a thing. So I don't think I have any food on me. I got a little bit. I don't want to eat that. I'm actually going to toss these in here. That way they do become rot, which will then eventually be, fertilizer for me. But I am going to take some of this meat, some of the older ones here that are almost expired. Or grab like 10 of those. Perfect. I think maybe once like that, I should be able to, that amount of meat I think should last until I end up hitting this the winter, and I'll probably do another hunting trip in the wintertime. I do know a couple things I want to get set up here for this kind of episode. Let me set up my little timer here too, actually. That way I can kind of keep track of myself, keep the videos down to a certain time frame for us, make it easier for everybody. So here we go. The big thing I want to do is I know I want to get my pigsty set up, and I want to get some type of farming things. So for me, I think I like the idea of, because I know my wife is a level 3 on the farming situation. So I'm definitely going to want to probably have some chickens up on my plot of land there. And thinking like realistically, right? Usually cows and of course, pigs, they probably don't smell the greatest. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I want to have any major farm animals down there. I'm probably not opposed to like maybe a stable at some point with the horses, but definitely going to kind of play that by ear a little bit. So right now what I want to focus on as we finish up our second day of summer is, where do I want to put my pigsty? I think when I showed you guys my walkthrough of like one of my best villages, one of the things I've been notoriously doing is always building like one big like farm area and just putting all the animals all in there. But something I'm realizing when you look back at a lot of the villages, Piastovia, Astoria, Skokie, Clonica, like none of them have that, right? So I'm starting to think I don't think that's a really realistic thing back in the medieval days. I think what more oftenly happened was people each had their own little area where they had their animals and they tended to them, versus it being one big large farm. So I'm starting to think here, I want like I mentioned, to definitely have more of the farm stuff going out here. Like I'm probably going to have another orchard, set up in this area and then branch out a little bit. So I'm thinking what I might want to do is I want to create a little road that kind of comes back over here to the start and just loops everything around. So now I'm kind of just giving myself a little bit of a canvas to work on a lot of this area here. And I'm thinking I might just have to do a little bit of excavating from a lot of these trees and just trying to really try to map this out. This is, again, something that now at this part of the game, I really want to try and be pretty intentional with where I am building and placing things. I don't know if I want it like too far away from the village though. That's where I'm trying to like think. Like I don't want this to be this massive village, right? A lot of the main stuff is going to be along the beach there, and I do really like having this kind of, field right up here on the hill. And then I think if I really just kind of create another pathway going back down here. So I might actually bring my cursor right around here, and I want to create a path going to there, and then I'm going to bring it right back up here. And then I kind of like, too, that I think this will allow me to create another path that eventually connects off of that, coming down here to create another entrance into my village. I might end up having, like, a few of them. Like, obviously, this has been the main one so far, but let's be honest, I just kind of run through the woods getting in here. But eventually, once we're later in the game, I'm going to have, like, a whole fence built around this place, right? Like, Piastovia has something like that. A lot of the villages have fences. I think that just makes sense to kind of enclose a place and have these main entrances. And having one down here, I think, does make a lot of sense. This is going to be right off of a pretty main roads coming from Piastovia, Astoya, Skaki. All of them will be leading up to this little area if they were to essentially be coming to our village, right? And even Colonica, if they were to come down and walk through the swamp, it makes more sense just to, boom, have a pathway coming up in the village right here versus them having to essentially take a U-turn going down there. So let's kind of start off with that. I'm going to go through here and, like I've said before too, what I try and do, ideally, is work around the stuff that's already here, these trees already here, right? I don't want to essentially just make these super straight lines. A lot of these trees I might want to keep. There's actually not like a whole lot of them. So I think like the way I kind of want to map this out and place things in here, I might be able to keep a lot more of these trees than I think. So we got this path going. How does it look so far? Also looks pretty good. Like, yeah, I'm looking for more of a natural kind of feel for things here, and I do actually like this. Now I want to continue going, get it connected over here. I don't want to be too much against the main road. I want to bring it right back down over to our other entrance into the village, and this is looking pretty good so far. And there we go. I'm going to actually kind of create like this little fork in the road here. Let me get my hammer out so I can kind of see exactly where it is. Get this going right here. There. Now it's kind of like a little nice fork in the road. Maybe put like a dovecote or something right here. So now when you're coming into the village from this entrance, it's like, okay, perfect. Kind of have a nice little crossroads to go to either directions of the village so far. You go right into the main town center where you got the woodcutters on the outskirts, getting right into the woods here, or we kind of make our way up. And I think this looks really nice. I mean, again, I'm hoping, and realistically, I don't see why I couldn't be able to keep a lot of these trees. Thankfully, it's pretty dispersed, right? It's not like a super thick set of woods here with trees all over the place. But this is nice. I like how this turned out. It's got a very nice incline, just heading right up here naturally through the trees. And then, boom, it's going to come right up, on the edge of the orchard and the farm. And, a couple houses, and then boom, here you are in the farm. It's like giving you two pathways, right? One going up to the south side of the village, and then of course one taking you down to the north side. And I really like how that actually that was set up there. So that's, because the whole point here was now I want to kind of utilize this whole area here. I don't know if I want to build much further out this way. Again, a lot of things can change, and I want to be able to have the ability to do so. But right now, I'm really trying to get an idea. Where do I want to have a lot of my farm animals, and where do I want to have the people that tend to them? And like I said minutes ago, I know I don't want them, like, right near the main part of the village. You know, definitely having them up here kind of by the farm area is going to make a lot of sense. So let's also get this set in stone here too. Thinking I want to bring it like right down here to have it be like a full-on, like, multiple fork in the road. Alright, it's a little bit more slanted than I'm happy with right here, but I think we can make it look nice. It's going to be a little greater than necessary too, but I can kind of manipulate that myself, bring it up here a little bit. I can see where that fork is, and then connect it right in here. Perfect, okay. This is actually nice, because it's also like this main, this main kind of centerpiece right here that people will come up against. You walk off right here, and then it's got this perfect little 3 ways to go. And I'll end up having, like, you know, I don't know if I'll put the sign specifically right here. I mean, we might. This might end up being like my main entrance to the village. I do like that idea, honestly, because again, this is more of that central entrance and location of what really works for every single one of them. This one's kind of like the back entrance, where, like, if we had to escape, you know, we can run right up this north road and be out of the whole town and territory. But I like the look of this so far. And now, again, let's get back to the task at hand. Let me just try and really think. Where do I want to put this pigsty? Where do we want to put the people, and where I might start having some farming? You know, animal husbandry, I should say. You know, one of the things I actually saw that I thought was really smart, but the problem is I don't think we have any of it around here, but I've seen someone actually put their pigsty on a clay pit. Because in the game, the clay pits actually look like mud, believe it or not. So it's a very, like, immersive kind of thing, but I don't think we have any clay pits really around here at all, to be honest. That's going to be a little challenging. So, alright. Let's look at it this way. If I want to start kind of utilizing a little bit of this area, I do know I want to save some more of it for an orchard for sure, and I have a lot more land kind of going down this way. Might even actually real quick get this a little mapped out here too. That way it'll help me kind of see what makes sense. Let's get this open. Go to my orchard. Kind of try and get it lined up still. Let's see how far I can. Again, they can only go down to 8 blocks. I think I can go right there. Actually, that is so perfect. So 8. Then I'm going to hit a tree right here. I'm trying to think. I do like having things lined up, right? So I might actually just do it like a 4x8 like this. That way it's like a nice straight shot. I can definitely put a ton of things in there. And I can still have a little bit of a road kind of connecting them. I might do that. And then now I can kind of visually see, okay, I'm going to want to have a little bit more room this way for probably another orchard plot right there. Again, I don't think I'm going to do like all of the options for these things, but just trying to help get myself visually set up and what's going to make a lot of sense. So now go back up over here. Because the problem too is this is a very like angled over here, and I'm just really trying to think, okay, what is a good idea? I'm really thinking, like, honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense to have the pigsty, like, not too far from this field, right? It's essentially what's making the fertilizer and manure, so I might just kind of branch it off right in here. I don't really care too much that it's a little, you know, what do you want to call, you know, slanted to a degree. Like, if I try and look at getting a house right here, I mean, I could definitely get it done. Let's just have an example right here. I'll put it a little bit further back. Let's see, still a little too uneven. It worked good doing it this way. That definitely makes sense. Alright, so far I don't hate that, but now I also have to make sure this would fit somewhere. That's the real challenge, honestly, because these things you can't really do a wooden platform on. So, like, yeah, it'd have to be, like, up here, right on the edge of the whole thing. I don't know if I'd love the look of that, really. This is going to be the challenge with this location, right? Because I don't think at all these things can be built on a wood foundation. It has to be this stone foundation. And it's definitely a little challenging. I almost wonder, it might make the most sense. Can't even actually do it right here because it's too uneven still. Let's see. I don't know, that might be a tough spot. I might have to... I like the idea of them being like on this corner right here though. I kind of like that. Now I'm just trying to see, okay, how can I... where can I get the house set up for them? I mean, I guess... I don't know, let me see. Oh, I had it before, what the heck happened? There we go. I mean, because what I was honestly trying to think of is I would put, like, of course, a little fence right here. That's cutting it real close. But I just don't like how, again, it's going to, like, block this view. I really am big on this whole view thing. When you're coming up here, I want to have as least amount of things obstructing that. Because, I mean, eventually, if there's more trees and whatnot, that's a fair thing. I mean, that's going to look really nice. Let me also remove this house. I think, because the priority and the more difficult thing, honestly, is finding where this freaking pigsty is going to go. The house is not as difficult, really, to find a layout for it. Yeah, I'm surprised I can't get it, like, in here. Man, oh man. Yeah, I don't want it to be right up on that corner. I can't believe this is, like, just too... like, it'll fit right here, but then I feel like that's just, like, such an awkward spot. I mean, I guess it's not, like, awful, but then I also just feel like this is such a little amount of area for them to even, like, have. Or I want to think, again, somewhat realistic, you know, I feel like they would have a decent amount of land to be scurrying around at, you know. Let's dip a little bit further. Let's kind of veer away from that. I think we might just be at too much of a incline and slant here for this to be the area for my little pigs, man. That is a bummer. That is a bummer. Alright, let me see here. Where's my road? So this is kind of like this entrance up this way. I want it to be close to the fields, though. I do like that idea. And I'm also trying to remember, too, like, at some point, I'm going to have a windmill, I think, up here. So I don't want to go too much further over that direction. I mean, and yeah, the problem, too, is, again, the way it is slanted is definitely driving an issue. And again, I'm still trying to also play off the trees and whatnot, so I don't really want to remove a lot of that stuff. I'm really thinking I might just have to bite the bullet and go a little bit further up into this way here. And again, just kind of make this the outskirts area. Like I could have a whole other path that kind of just veers out over here. And I can have my little pig farm over here. It's going to get as level of a spot as I can find. We can even have this road, like, still come up a little bit, too. Like, that guy's house will be right there, and then I can have a whole nother house right in this area that kind of takes care of the pigs, like in their backyard, if that makes sense. I don't hate that idea, honestly. It's like, again, manure is going to stink. I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense to have this, like, pretty much further away from the whole village, you know? And, like, maybe have another, like, I might end up trying to re-finagle this type of thing and, like, have it, the road circle around. Or, honestly, I don't know. I might leave that alone and just have another road come in here, like some dead ends. Not like they all need to connect, essentially. But just have another road coming down with the house on this side. Let me see. And placing the houses is definitely a bit easier for sure. I really like the idea of like going between the trees and stuff. I think it just looks so nice. I might honestly get rid of the... I don't really care for these little trees. I think the little ones honestly look kind of stupid sometimes. And just definitely get in the way a bit there. So let's get rid of this guy. Yeah, my dude's dirty, man. It's freaking probably stinks. And I'm probably way too far from my resource storage to get this built. Grab a couple. Grab a few little... Yeah, just gonna grab these things because they always sit. It's like the freaking stone's the least applicable thing there half the time. Well, that worked out nice. Look at that. I think I have enough stuff on me already. Maybe not enough sticks, but not too far off. Just from knocking down some trees there. Oh, I even have straw on me. Look at this. What are the odds, man? I already had a few things on me to make this all happen. Oh, it's also starting to get dark. Alright, I'm going to go to sleep real quick, and then I'm going to come back to this. So, I'm going to fast forward while I make my way over to my house, and I'll get right back there on the start of our last day of summer. You just got up from sleeping. How do they hurt? God, oh, you know what? She's pregnant. That does cause some pain in the legs. I would know this. I have a one-year-old daughter now, so this was not too long ago that I probably heard similar things like that when the lady woke up. All right, let's run back over to where we want our pigsty. So, again, you know what we were challenged with, honestly, is the landscape and our layout of things. I do kind of like that I can actually like see it right there, though. So it's not like it's completely, you know, out of the way entirely. But I don't actually hate that. And it's like this being kind of like the main part of the road, coming down here, and then working our way up and around. I think I might. Let me see if I can. Again, I know placing the houses is a challenge sometimes, but this actually isn't bad. Kind of like this, I think. Looks like you come up this road, and he has like a nice little entrance here himself. Make his way right into his house, and then right on the back side of his, you know, his house here, basically his backyard. Think about it, it's kind of what I'm looking at here. Is I am just gonna have a nice little location for the pigs. The other thing I kind of like too is, that's why I do like having trees around here, because I feel like it does create shade for them. And I am going to want to create like a little pen for them, right? Like having a fence around so they can't just go all willy-nilly everywhere they want. Let me see if I can actually just collect the other things that I need to finish building it. I already have all the roof is done. I think I only need a few more logs and sticks anyway. So let me just see here. This should be enough to actually get it completed, I think. Grab a few of these guys. And let's see here. Perfect. Alright. Pigsty has been completed. And I think I like this. I'm not, you know, hating it. I don't like having a path going up to it entirely, but like right at the entrance. I will place a fence around it for sure. I think I'm going to have the fence ultimately come up and around the tree and like stop right at it, and then pretty much do the same thing. So that way there's a few trees in there, but I want them to have a decent little area, because I mean, if you have like 5 or 6 pigs in here, I mean, eventually they get pretty big, but I want them to have a nice layout. And it's funny because this house is actually like technically closer to it, but these guys are also technically closer to the fields, so they'll continue. Whoever lives here is going to definitely continue to be, excuse me, my farmers, and these guys are going to be the ones that are like living right behind the pigsty, and they'll be taking care of that. So that's one of the major things for animal husbandry that I wanted to find a layout for. The next 2 big ones for me are going to be the fold. And, I mean, obviously the stable, but I'm a little bit not as worried about where to put that one. That one I do like sometimes to have a little bit closer to the main area. I don't imagine that the horses would stink as much. I mean, I'm sure they obviously do. All animals just, you know, crap and whatnot everywhere. But I want to find a spot for fold, aka like sheep. And at some point I do like cows. I mean, really, I always like to have the hen house, the pigsty, stable, fold. The only one I never really do a whole lot of is the goose house and the donkey shelter. I just don't think those are as like normal or traditional animals in a sense. I mean, obviously there's a ton of stuff you could do with them, I imagine, but these are the ones that are most important to me. Obviously the stable, because you can get yourself an actual mount. You know, get an actual horse with a saddle on it, and you can travel the whole land so much faster, and it just makes way more sense. The fold is what going to give you wool, which will therefore in the sewing hut turn into wool thread and wool fabric, which you actually need a lot of those for things I want to eventually do in a later game. The cow shed also just makes a lot of sense to me too, though. That's how you can finally start getting tons of milk, which will there go into making cheese and all these other things. And the last one is the apiary. That one's a little bit easier because it's just a little hut with bees in there, right? I don't think you don't really need to have a big field for all the bees to be flying around. So it's a little bit easier to find locations for that. But the fold and the cow shed are going to be another challenge when the time comes up. It's like, where the heck am I going to put those? Because similar thing we just ran into with the pigsties. It's like there's really, you need to have a pretty level plot of land to figure out where they're going to go. So let me do this. Let me get that other house built up, and then before we get this episode wrapped here, I am absolutely going to have to go buy the pigs and go find the other farmer to start doing that for me. So if I want to build another house, what do I need? I need 27 logs, 48 planks. Grab all those real quick. 27 of these. I already have 2 on me, so let's grab 25, and then 48 planks. I think I have a few of those on me already too, so I should be fine with that. Yep. And then lastly, the stone. Oh, actually, no, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that house is on... Well, I do need a lot of stone, actually, for the walls. I forgot that I'm making actual stone houses now. So it's not just a foundation, but I was also trying to correct myself here. I don't think... I think 80 should be fine. I'm going to grab a little bit more just to be safe. I do believe that house was on a wood foundation, though, so I actually am probably going to need more logs. Hold on, let me grab that. That's what I was trying to sit here. I'm trying to think about. It's like, again, I know I've run into this already when we built something before, but the actual when you're building the kind of blueprint there, it doesn't account for if your foundation isn't made out of stone, how many extra logs you'll actually need for the log foundation. I'm pretty sure it's like 12, so I think I should have enough here to take care of that. So let's see. I'm just going to map out other things. Like I've already talked about it, I think my windmill is going to end up going there. But I know that's honestly not a bad spot for maybe something else like the fold at some point. And I don't know. It's a little bit small. I mean, I feel like I want them to have a whole like pasture, if you will. So there's definitely some other things I want to kind of start to really think about. I don't know. There might be some things I end up moving. Like those houses. I might try and find a different spot for some of those houses. And I don't know, we'll see. I'm not going to keep trying to get ahead of myself. But, yeah, now that we're getting into, like, the mid-game here for sure, there's a lot more things that we're really starting to, you know, think about. And I just really want to make sure, trying to be intentional with, okay, what am I going to, how am I going to build this out? And what are things I may or may want to change later? And now you really want to start being very cognitive of that. And it's like, all right, let's get this stuff, you know, set up as well as we can. The new update is actually coming out really soon. I know I've talked about it already many times. Honestly, by the time this episode is out, the update will have already been released, most likely, because I think I said in the last episode or two, I'm pretty far ahead of myself on these uploads. I might actually just start uploading them a lot sooner, but at this point I'm talking to myself, because again, by the time you see this episode, it's probably already been done. But yeah, I'm like 7-8 episodes ahead of myself, so I might try and just catch up and upload more of them more frequently. And that way it's a little bit more in tune with like the realist stuff that's happening. Because as mentioned just now, we gotta go to Clonica. Let's run up there. As I'm kind of talking to myself here, realizing, you know, the next update, what I was getting at is it will allow you to actually move houses or buildings in general without having to fully demolish them, or at least that's what I'm gathering from what I've read. And then of course the other big thing is the planting your own trees. I'm very excited for that. And then they are also, I think around the same time, releasing a DLC that is going to unlock many more decorative stuff like shrubs and stone type things. I'm actually very excited for that. I'll absolutely make sure to get that. But that's why I think I want to start catching this up. So the videos at that time when the update comes out will all be kind of lined up accordingly, if that makes sense. So yeah, because at this point, I'm honestly not caring how many views I really get here. I think the video that has the most views as of right now is like only 37 or 38 views. So again, we're doing this for me. I mean, I'm having a good time. If eventually more people catch on, like hearing me talk to myself and, play a fun building game, fantastic. But this ain't gonna be my job, that's for sure. So let's just keep on rolling here. Let me real quick, I'm just going to fast forward over here to Clonica, and we'll search for some piggies and some farmers to take care of them. Back in Clonica. One of my favorite neighboring villages for sure. On the way here, there was a broken down cart wagon thing, and it had some rye and some rye bread and some rye beer. We snagged that. Very happy about that. All right, let's get the little piggies here first. So again, we're looking good on money. We got 18, almost 18 grand here. I do always like to get the little piglets first because they are the cheapest. Only 100 and see, show you guys there. So 121 gold for one of them. Now remember, you have to have the animal husbandry, like the pigsty, built before you can even buy them, right? You gotta place them somewhere. So just bought that little piglet, put him in his home. There should be another one somewhere. Here he is. Or here she is. So let's get him in there, or her in there, God. And I'm gonna rob this little sack for the 5 manure and the 10 animal feed, just to have that. I'm honestly going to buy the rest of them because I have the money for it. The big boys are more expensive for sure. So the male hog here being 600 bucks, the females also 600, and that's a full pigsty now. Now obviously I'm not going to be maxing it out entirely until the little piglets are full grown. Then they'll be really attributing to creating more manure. So now let's just cross our fingers. It's like Daddy's feet. God, Whistlaw, you're being funny. Alright, let's head over here. Let's just cross our fingers that one of these villager outskirts like farming. God, I think there's only 3 of them. Our options are limited here. You are 2, 2, and 2. Not looking great. Not looking great. So obviously, in a situation like this, right, I want to talk on this real quick because in my actual normal playthrough that I'm just doing right now on the side as well, not of course recording, one season I was really looking to have some farmers, and out of all the villages, not one of them was a level 3. So what I decided to do was actually just recruit one of these guys right here, who are kind of jack of all trades, right? He doesn't have anything level 3, but he has 4 level 2s. And if you go over to him and you do a small talk here, you can actually say, like, tell me about your skills, right? So he's really into tracking prey. So obviously he likes, hunting. But if you say, what gives you a hard time, I'm a hothead who's not good at tinkering. So it all kind of, checks out there. Like, he has a 1 in production, so doesn't like making things. Obviously doesn't like extracting, but does like hunting. But he didn't say anything about farming, so he's pretty much neutral with that. So it's like he would still be happy farming. And he would still grow his skill in farming, right? So it's like there are some villagers that are really just jacks of all trades that aren't a bad thing to recruit either, honestly, if you can't find any level 3s. Now, the only downside to it is obviously he's not going to produce as many resources being a level 2 as a level 3 would. So now you just got to wait for him to level up a little bit, take a little bit longer than just having a level 3 from the jump. So there's some food for thought there, but I mean, this is the first village I checked real quick. I wanted to come here because that's where the pigs are. So I actually forgot to kind of mention that. The pigs are here in Clonica, obviously, right? That's where we just went to check them out. I'm now going to actually jump all the way down to Astoya. I like to do this. I think I already mentioned this in one of my other playthroughs, just in case. I want to kind of work my way back to Piastovia versus jumping there first. So let's just see if Astoya now has a farmer here before I work my way back to Piastovia, because I can even jump over to Skokie real quick just in case, and then back to Piastovia. Dang, there's not a lot of recruits. There's only 3 here as well. It's a 2, 2, a 1. Okay, we're not looking good. I mean, this guy's another kind of jack of all trades with at least a 2 on the farming. So worst case scenario, I'm going to go back to Clonica and get that other jack of all trades if I can't find anyone else. But the other thing I wanted to mention too is here in Astoya, your animals for selection are your sheep are going to be here in Astoya. So during the day, they're usually way out here in the pasture. You can just run up to them and grab them. And over there, they actually have some goats as well. So for goats and sheep, we come to Astoya. The cows and the horses are all over in Piastovia, and then Skokie has the chickens. I think that's pretty much all of them. Yeah, the chickens and the goose are in goose is in Piastovia. Chickens are in Skokie, the pigs are in Clonica, the donkey is in Skokie, horses are in Piastovia, the fold are here in Astoya, cows are in Piastovia. And am I missing, like, am I not seeing goats on here? Maybe the fold or the goats go in the fold thing. I never actually thought about that. I don't think I've ever even had goats. Because, yeah, now I'm, like, tripping out. So, yeah, look at these guys, the goats. What the heck? I've never had goats in this game, but it looks like this is a fold shed. I don't know. Never thought about that. Dude, yeah, because unless I'm like blind here, there's no goats. So I wonder if they just go in the same place that... Oh, it does say back there on the bottom. I'm an idiot. Workers employed here will milk goats and shear sheep. Yep, that makes sense. So you place 2 fold buildings and you can actually have the goats. I've never actually had goats. Pretty interesting. But anywho, let's find where the sheep's house is, which I believe is right over here. I want to see if they happen to have any stuff in there. Nope. I must have already stole it all, honestly. But anyway, let's keep rolling. Let's make our way back over to Skokie. Let's just see if we can find... we just need to find one person with ideally a level 3 farming skill. I'll be a happy camper. I know, brother. You're gonna see a lot of me. I'd probably give this guy a lot of money. I think he makes most of his living just off of me, honestly. I can't imagine too many other people are even really using him. Yeah, I know all my villagers, when you recruit them, they just walk, man. They hightail it back to the village. Alright, here we go. Level 3, level 18. I like you. You're gonna be my guy. Not even gonna second guess that. First level 3 we found. Oh, God. The fire is not even going, so I don't know how I get hurt on that. So weird. So weird. Okay. Perfect. So while I am here, let me see if I can get some free animal feed. So in Skokie, we do have the chickens, which are actually right up here. Let's see if I can do a quick little thievery without her seeing me. Perfect. Another 3 animal feed. I'll take that. Chickens are very cheap, too. You can get them for like 78, 80 bucks a piece. So we'll definitely get the hen house going next episode. Well, we have some other things going on. Lastly, the donkey. Also here. I just want to see if she has some animal feed I can steal as well. I don't have to buy it. That'd be nice. I don't want her to see me. Nice. Another 10 and some more manure. I'll take that. So the donkeys are definitely cheaper than horses. I mean, you could buy this thing for $481. And if I did buy one, and I could actually buy a saddle from her, I could ride this guy around as a mount. But, I mean, again, I don't know. Like, look at the size compared to him. I just feel like that's torture for me, you know, to be sitting on this freaking donkey, riding him back and forth from village to village. I don't like that. You know, to each their own, man. But I personally think it's fine just running around, using the Wagoneer, and we're not far from unlocking the stable, and it's going to be so much more rewarding when you get yourself a full-on freaking stallion to be riding back and forth, man. It's cool. It's cool. So anyway, we got our little animal husbandry, our pigsty guy. We got a house for him. Let's run. It's cheaper now just to run to Piastovia and back up to the village. So we pause here, and we'll get right back to our village. So real quick too, I mean, stayed filming, but I just cut it out anyway because I did it real quick. But as I was leaving Piastovia, I remembered about our little royal beer quest and that we are in summer, and I have yet to even go back and buy any of the hops from anybody. So I just stayed in Piastovia, and I ended up buying a few things from our buddy Marcus Law. So I got all the apple trees, cherry trees, all his 19 hops, got some more manure, pear and plum trees, and even some fertilizer as well. So I went and bought out a lot of other things I will want eventually. The cherry trees, first and foremost, I like to use as decoration around the village. They are probably the prettiest of all the trees in my opinion, especially when they bloom in the spring. So those are usually my decorative trees. But apple and pear trees, I think, make a lot of sense to have in an orchard for sure, and then even some plum trees. That way, like, we'll be able to make a lot of juices and wines in the future. As on top of already having, of course, our hop plants for the hops, right? But just want to quickly speak on that. That way, you guys are seeing what I'm doing here still. So let's run up to this house here and place our good old buddy Seapraw in there. Now he's not, pissed at me because he doesn't have a freaking house. And then let's check out our little piggies. They should be in here. There they are, all hanging out. Let's fill this up. I stole enough animal feed to essentially fill them up. So what's funny is the animal feed, by the way, I think it just makes a lot of sense, realistically and immersively to obviously have it fed, right? But what's funny is they won't die if you never feed them. I'm pretty sure you don't ever have to feed them and they won't die. The main thing about feeding them is that that's how they will procreate. So let's just say I only had, the male and the female here, and I fed them, they would actually, make more piglets not every single season, but they would end up making more piglets for me. So it's like you don't have to buy out all of them. If you want to save on money, just buy a male and a female, and they'll start, making babies as the seasons go on, and you'll have a full set of it. But I like to just try and get this done sooner than later, hence why I buy them all, and even the piglets will, of course, grow anyhow. But anyway, to pretty much finish this off, I wanted to at least run over here to the barn real quick as well. I'm going to turn all that manure that I've collected into some fertilizer and make sure all the fertilizer is placed in the resource storage. But yeah, this is all looking pretty good, guys, honestly. I'm thinking next episode, I'm going to probably just set up a hen house and probably buy some hens up on my property. And I might start laying out, some of the, what's it called there? Some of the other orchards for sure. I almost would have loved to do that this season because then they would start to grow sooner than later. But I do want to plant some other trees like the apple and the pear trees.
I forgot about food.
God, I am disgusting. That's how dirty my guy is. And he's hungry, but it's almost the end of the season. So I'm just going to have him go to sleep and he'll replenish all that by the start of fall. And he'll even clean himself up. Very convenient. Let's throw all these away. I actually got some feathers too. I stole those. Get all this stuff in here. Start cleaning up a little bit. Make sure my workers have some things. Because, yeah, come fall, I am going to make sure they plant more of that rye. It's kind of the big thing to get planted in the fall. As you guys saw, my first fall, we did that kind of all solo. But now we have some people to pretty much do it for us. I might just have them fill up this whole field 4 here of all rye come fall. So let's actually get this all set up. So that'd be that'd be a big harvest right there. Remember, I think it's 150 plots if they were to get this whole thing full of rye next season. Harvest that come next spring. We'll be looking pretty good. So anyway, guys, MacDad Games here. Kind of going a little bit over my normal time frame, but it just made sense to finish off the summer season with this fall episode. And next episode we'll be getting right into our second fall. It's honestly crazy to me that we're already freaking halfway through our second year now. I mean, the game starts moving quick, man. And hopefully our firstborn will be born soon here as well, man. We're looking good. So I will see you guys next episode. Thanks for watching.